Good morning, everyone. Once again, I'm coming in from being outside bundled up. It's still cold. I'm hoping, since we don't know God's overall day-to-day, minute-by-minute plan, that this is the end of the cold and we'll start warming up. Now, we know we're going to get more cold because we're still in February, but it's going to start alternating. It's going to be warm, then cold, then warm, then cold. And then you get more warm versus and less cold. That should be the norm. That's what happens every year. And then you get storms because of the seasons changing. Spring and fall are in the south tornado weather because you've got extreme cold meeting extreme hot, and they don't like that. And it's a current flow flowing from one to the other. Oh, warmth. Again, I have to go open the gate in the morning. And I guess we've got 3 weeks or so to change our daylight savings again. I don't know, they talk about doing away with it. Which way are they going to leave it? Let's find out when they make a decision. I hear a lot of stuff coming out of our government. You know, should we do this? Should we do that? Should we do this? Don't ask, just do. Do what is right. You know, you got all kinds of criminals in our government. You got criminals on the streets that they let in. Get rid of all the criminals first. He's messing with the cable in there, and he's going to be distracting, which he's been doing. There's straps in there. That shows you how old this is. This little cubby over here behind me was designed to put a TV in, and it's deep. TVs used to have picture tubes in them. I don't know if you young people know what that is. You've all got flat panel stuff now. I'm working on a laptop with a flat panel. I'm looking at my computer over here. It's got a flat screen. We had console TVs that had a stereo with a record player in it. That was our playlist, the stack. And hopefully the records would be well worn but not scratched. Because if they're scratched, then the needle can get stuck. You have no idea what I'm talking about if you're not old enough. I've got some old 78 someplace. I don't even have any place to play them. I don't have a turntable anymore. We used to have the big stereo amp. You know, then you'd have the stereo, then you'd have an amp, because you got to drive these big wall speakers that you got so loud that your neighbors 6 houses down could hear you if you turned it up all the way. Yeah. All right. So the times that we're in they still don't feel right. So I'm trying to find out what it talks about in the Bible describing this, because we're looking for certain key things to happen. We're looking for the Antichrist to get here. But before that, we're in the birth pains. So we've got to have things progressing, getting worse. That's what birth pains do. They get worse. They don't get better unless you take drugs or have an epidural or a spinal. So where are we in this? Well, I was thinking about some of this stuff, and then I watched Prophecy Watchers. And it's a good show to watch. They had Lee Brainerd on there as a guest. He's got a book about the rapture. And he was pointing out that, we get busy in thinking that Israel isn't the one that's involved in all this stuff, but they are. They're always involved. The time clock that we're watching, the second hand is Israel. The minute hand may be the other countries. But Babylon the Great, who we've seen trying to take over the world, is not succeeding. Yet, as we look at the Bible, it looks like it does succeed, because it sets up the world for the Antichrist. So have we gone through the part of it succeeding already and it's over, and that the world is set up for the Antichrist? Could be, because theoretically the Antichrist should be the first seal, the white horse. But the white horse is to conquer with a bow, but no arrows. Not by force, but by the threat of force. We got to remember that Israel is still the key. Anyhow, Lee came out with the a verse that I've forgotten about. Sometimes when you don't teach this stuff for a while, you forget about it. The world basically is anti-Semitic. Even the Christian world, there are parts of it that believe in the replacement theology. Israel had their time, it's done, they're over with. Well, he read a verse out of Hosea, which I want to read, to tell us that they're not over. But see, this has been taught, and it's been taught in the church. Martin Luther was anti-Semitic. He believed in replacement theology. The church has taken the forefront for a time, for a period, but not permanently. Paul doesn't replace Jesus and his disciples. It just goes out to the whole world, not just that little part of it. Hosea 3:4, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king, without a prince, and without a sacrifice, without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim. Basically, they don't do any of the pomp and circumstance. The high priest doesn't come out with his gear on, his colorful gear. Sacrifices are over with. There's no sacrifices going on right now. There hasn't been for many years. They don't have the temple anymore. They don't have the Holy of Holies. They don't have the Ark of the Covenant, at least out where we can see it. 3:5, afterwards shall the children of Israel return and seek the Lord their God and David their king. David had a period of time that he reigned, but so this would be his descendants. And shall fear the Lord and his goodness in the latter days. Well, we're in the latter days. One thing with cats is you tell them not to do something, and they're hell-bent on doing it for the rest of their lives until you ignore them, and then they stop doing it. I'll ignore them once I'm done here. And then here, stop messing with it. But what I was getting at, that's where the big TV goes. There are straps in there that you would strap the TV in so it didn't fall out when you're moving this mobile home. This is a trailer house that I live in. It's a 28-foot trailer house. It's got a hitch on the front for being towed by something big enough to tow this heavy vehicle. It's got 2 propane tanks in the front, of which I tried to light the stove this morning and it's too cold. Gas is not flowing. Either that or the tank's empty. I haven't taken them out to fill them up. The Ranger just gave me an extra tank he had. Because when the last people were in here, which was 2 or 3 years ago, they took the tanks off and sold them. Bad people. Anyhow, so we're still on track. We just don't know where we are. we know that we've got to have, the Antichrist has to show up. So we're going to look at some of that. We're going to look at a little bit of Revelation here in a bit. But we're on track. No need to worry about it. We don't know where we are exactly, but we don't need to know where we are. As I mentioned before, the rapture is too distracting to too many people right now, and it shouldn't be. So, what is the white horse? What is Satan up to? You see, Satan is all about, because of his pride. So we're going to do this little rabbit hole here. But this is part of the lesson, so I'm not really wandering. Why are we going through all this? Satan, God created Satan too. Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. And that's technically not his name either. But the bottom line is, whatever you want to call him, his job is to be against. That's what Satan means, to be against. Satan. He's to give the world, people of the world, a choice. And he knows, he doesn't come out and say, I want to be God, because he knows he can't be. God's omnipresent, for one, everywhere, more powerful than Satan could ever be. We're talking pride here, so we're talking about recognition. Satan wants to take the recognition that God's getting. God wants love from people. That's why we're down here, to learn how to be a human being, to learn about love, and then to apply that love to God. That's why we're here. We've lost our connection to God, so that's why Jesus came, to reconnect us. Because you can't love something you're not connected to. Sin separated us from God. So Jesus helps us to remove the sin, at least for the past and present. Future, we've still got it until we get to heaven. So Satan knows he can't be God. So he's competing on who can be loved by the people. Now, he tried to stop the connection with Jesus a number of times, and he couldn't. So now he's focusing on offering the people of the world things that they will think are from him through he's going to have his son, the Antichrist. Jesus is the Son of God. The Antichrist is the son of Satan. He's going to put his son down here, and they're going to see who's loved the most. Well, one's going to be out there promising everything, lying, making everybody feel good. The heart's deceptively wicked. He's going to make everybody feel good, where Jesus makes us feel God and the truth. And we won't feel good all the time. Even as a Christian, you're not going to feel good all the time, because we have a sinful nature, and we're going to be aware of that. We're going to be aware that the things that we're living in our life are a product of our sinful nature a lot of times. There are consequences for doing bad, even as a Christian. We're not immune to it. The only way you're immune to it is when you're the President of the United States and you pardon everybody. But he screwed up, I think. He didn't pardon himself, thinking that maybe they won't go after him. So, Satan is just going to be vying for who gets the attention. Okay, he's up here now. Say hello. Are you done running around? Are you going to bite me? I got my jacket on now. You can bite my jacket. Nope, but not my hand. Okay, knock it off. Not until after work. I got to get this done. He's up trying to bite me now. Shh. Shh. Go away. You can bite my shoes. Yeah, you can bite the shoes. Even that one. My right foot is the big toe and 2 toes next to it are black and blue from when I kicked that ball. It's still sore. They won't do anything if you go to the doctor if you break a toe or nothing. They're just tape it up and let it heal. So that's essentially what I've done. Come on. Now he wants to play more than let me do my work now. So we're going to have to get him to settle down. Okay. Enough of that distraction. I was thinking about going to Matthew 24 and reading some of that, but you all know that. When Jesus is listing out what he's listing out, he's basically listing out Revelation 6. When you read Matthew 24. Do I want to read that? I guess I could. I got to put my glasses on because I don't have it into my teleprompter. Matthew 24. We're going to ask what the world's going to be like, and we're going to look at this. And I guess we're going to look between here and Revelation 6. I ought to probably go ahead and put Revelation 6 in my editor so I can follow along. So let me do this. I'm kind of changing my plan here because I wasn't going to do it this way. I was going to do it another way. Okay, so we're going to do it this way. Close. Okay, Revelation 6 is there. And Matthew 24 is up in the Bible. Okay. 24:4. Take heed that no man deceive you. Who's the father of lies? Satan. How far does the apple fall from the tree? The Antichrist. He's going to be the son of the father of lies. So let no man take heed that no man deceive you. Then we turn to Revelation 6, and I saw a lamb open one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, a noise of thunder, and the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." And I'm not going to read that intro for every one of these seals, but that's essentially repeated. And I saw, behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him. So he wasn't a king, naturally. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay, so this is the Antichrist, most theologians believe, but it's also the master deceiver, the master liar. So don't be deceived is our first warning. So that's the first seal. The second seal, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given him that they're to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. So that's Matthew 20. Now that's Revelation 6:4, and then we go back to Matthew 24. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you're not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. So those are things that are still out there. And then Jesus goes on to say, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. So we go back to Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And the 4 beasts, a measure of wheat for a penny. Don't hurt the oil and wine. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to link Matthew 24 and Revelation 6. Okay, Revelation 6:7. Open the fourth seal. The third seal, they're out of order. Okay. I'm going by what I heard somebody talking about. That they're, Matthew 24, he's given the seals in advance of Revelation. And so I had to look that. I wanted to discover it with you. So the fourth seal, a pale horse, name set on him was Death. And power was given unto him over a fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So that's Revelation 8. Going back to Matthew. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. So that's how the death is going to happen. Yeah, he kind of covers that. It's a loose connection. I like to hear what people say when they're teaching this stuff. There is a connection with this. But Jesus is kind of paraphrasing up close. Revelation goes more into detail. In fact, it covers pretty much everything 3 times in Revelation. 3 different perspectives to make sure we fully understand what it's talking about. It's not a gazillion things happening. It's just, it's talked about, and then it's re-talked about, and then it's re-talked about. It's not linear. Revelation is not linear. They're visions, and whenever you're dealing with visions, the best way to look at the prophets and what they saw, they're flying at 10,000 feet, boom, they drop to the earth, they get a look. They get their Polaroid camera out and they take a picture. That's how old I am. Polaroid camera. And then they go back up in the clouds again, and they go along the timeline, and then they drop back down and they take another picture. And we get the pictures, but we don't know how these are connected or how they're related unless you start reading the multiple iterations. Okay, so now I'm going to try to get into where I originally planned and turn to Revelation 17:7. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carried her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The woman is Babylon, the harlot. That's why she's a woman. And she, through her worldly fornication, is going to entice the whole world. Now, I thought that's what we were getting into with all this woke stuff coming. But it didn't last long. I thought it would have continued, so I'm somewhat perplexed. But history tends to repeat itself. And I'm old enough that I remember the Kennedys. They went against the mob. And they were eliminated. John Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. We have a Kennedy who's the son of Robert Kennedy and as our health administrator now in government. So they're still around, and they're going to all be doing the same thing. Trump's doing it, Musk is doing it, and their whole team is doing it. They're going after the corruption in our government. And I guarantee you these people do not want to tolerate that. So I worry, I pray about their safety every day. I like what they're doing. They're exposing these people. They keep listing the politicians that are in office, that have been in office forever. Congress put term limits on the president, saying nobody should be in office that long, yet they remain in office for life. And some of them basically are as old Biden came from Congress. A loyal Democrat willing to do whatever they told him to do. That's why he was put in as president. Someone to follow orders and to blindly become the suicide bomber. Okay. We have some good times right now. It looks like we could basically stop all this, potentially have a massive revival. It basically would blow our timeline out the window because we would be in such good shape and Israel would be in such good shape that there wouldn't be any problems. That's too good to be true for me. I pray it continues, but I pray that God's will be done too, which tells me that I don't think it's going to last. So, continue prepping. Even if they wanted to, they can't reverse all the damage done by Biden. They couldn't reverse the damage done by Obama. Obamacare is still in effect. It is still the law. It just doesn't have any money behind it, so they can't do anything. Because they were so intricately woven in to our system that you can't go in there. It's like a cancer. You can't go in there and cut it out without hurting the patient. Or you hit it with heavy radiation and it, again, hurts the patient. There needs to be a better way. But don't get caught up in this. It's going to seem euphoric. It's going to seem, too good to be true. We're getting what we want. But one of these guys that's out there, that's getting the world's attention, one of them is probably the Antichrist. Now, don't go after him now because as a human being, he's the seventh king. He's not the Antichrist. Remember, he's got 7 heads and 10 horns. When he dies, when he's killed, the Antichrist is, the man is assassinated. And he comes back with the demon in him, and now he's the Antichrist. At that point, we should be out of here. So it looks like that's on our future. I want to continue on with this, but I want to do some more research on it. I just wanted you to see where I was looking at and what I'm finding. It's interesting. We don't know exactly how this stuff falls out. And it's back to my opinion all the time about prophecy. Prophecy so much is not to guide us step by step what to do, but so we can look back and go, okay, God really did know what he was talking about because, see, he wrote it down. More often than not, that's what prophecy does. All right. Enjoy the moment. But it's not going to last. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless.